First question, what's your first recollection of country music?
I think my earliest recollection was going to see Tom T. Hall in concert. I think I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old, somewhere around there. It's the first powerful recollection I have anyway of music, because we went and saw him at the Festival Hall in Brisbane, and I'd never been to a concert before, and just all the people and the lights and everything. It was pretty powerful stuff.
Can you remember the music you grew up with around the house?
My dad's record, and I guess Mum's too, to a large extent, were all American country records. Lots of, Charlie Pride, Don Williams, Glenn Campbell, Johnny Cash, Tom T. Hall. My dad was into a group called the WSEK Singers, which is a folk group in the 60s. And there was a guy in the group called Donald Williams who broke away and became solo and dropped the Donald down to Don Williams. So I think that's kind of how my dad followed into the country area from there. And then my mum's record collection was Neil Diamond and Everly Brothers, and a little more of the sort of, I guess there's a sort of pop folk blend of influence that came from her side of things a little more than Dad.
Tell us about the town you grew up in and what the atmosphere was like.
We moved around a lot in the city of Brisbane when I was very young, and then my dad got the idea to become Farmer Bob. So he bought a property in a place called Caboolture, which is a farming town about an hour north of Brisbane. We moved up there and lived on this 12.5-acre farm, which was really just a self-sufficient farm. So we had our own cows for milking, and a cow, I should say, singular, and chickens for eggs, and we grew all our own vegetables, and we're really self-sufficient. And we lived there for quite a few years.
When did you first start playing an instrument?
I guess I was about 4, and my parents bought me this little ukulele, and apparently I could strum it in time to the songs on the radio and keep the rhythm. So my dad thought, well, that's good, he's got rhythm. If we can get him to learn some chords, maybe this rhythm, this racket will become some music. So when I was 6, they bought me a guitar, my first guitar.
Okay, here's a tough one. What kind of kid were you in school?
I think at the end of the day, I've always been kind of shy without my guitar, a bit like, Linus without his blanket. It just gave me a confidence in school that I didn't have without it, and it even made me friends with kids that might not otherwise have necessarily, associated with me, because it sort of broke down all these barriers of I wasn't sports-minded, so sports kids didn't really sort of hang out with me. I didn't relate to them, and girls, I was just nervous around girls. But when you get the guitar, suddenly the guys were into it because they dig the guitar, and the girls love the sweet songs. So it all just suddenly you got along with everybody,
Can you remember your first band?
I think the first band I joined, I might have been about 13 or so, and I was a guitar player in this group called Ram, actually. Just a cover band, and I was just the lead guitar player. And my parents used to have to drive me to all the gigs, patiently wait for me. And it seemed like a good idea to have my parents drive me to the shows, except when I finally decided that I wanted to become a cigarette smoker. I'm a smoker now, because I'm 14 or whatever age it was. And I decided I would let my parents know that I'm a cigarette-smoking, grown-up adult now by having Mum find my cigarette packet in my drawer in my bedroom, my clothes drawer. They found it, but unfortunately it was also on a night that I had a performance, and so my mum and dad asked me about the cigarettes, and I said, yes, I'm a smoker now. And I'm old enough to make up my mind about that. And they said, well, then I guess you'd be old enough to find your way to the show tonight, which I wasn't. And so suddenly I was faced with the realities that, A, I'm living in my parents' house, and I have to rely on them for everything, and I probably shouldn't smoke. So I gave away the cigarettes, and God bless them for that.
Tell us about the actual decision to come to America the first time.
1989 was the first year I came to the States, and it had always been my goal, but I had no plan on how to get here. It was just a case of keep playing, keep getting better at what you do, and then hopefully, somehow, some way, I'll end up over here. And the guy who was managing me at the time, by the name of Greg Shaw, we just planned a trip over here. It was actually for the New Music Seminar in New York. We came over for that, and then we did a trip down to Nashville, and I shopped my little demo around, and I think I humoured everybody more than anything else with my tragic, ill-fitting demo for the time. So I left there, but I was just so committed to coming back as quick as I could.
Let's go back in time and see if you can recollect the first time you heard yourself singing on the radio.
It was awesome. I was in a place called Tamworth, which is it's like the capital of country music in Australia, you know, at least for 1 month a year when they have the Country Music Festival down there in January. And I was in a hotel getting ready to go and play a show, and I heard my new single on the little clock radio in the room, and just, God, man, that was an amazing feeling.
Okay, I'm going to ask this last question for one of probably your biggest fans in this area, our very own Winona. How do you feel about being considered a sex symbol?
You know, you just take it with a grain of salt, because Mum and Dad give birth to me, and I'm just a guy that loves playing music, and part of what goes along with that in this day and age is being in videos and having your picture taken, so you make the best of it.
All right, Mr. Keith Urban on K9.